couple weeks ago on the full moon when I was ovulating, I had a dream about you.
And that is how this story starts.
Yeah, we checked the dream dictionary on this one. It turns out it's not a sign of destiny at all. It's just wildly inappropriate boundaries.
Hey y'all, welcome to Killer Queens, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Torella, and like most millennials, I've always had an obsession with true crime. On KQ, you'll find light true crime stories, millennial hypes and gripes, some adult language, and maybe a special guest here and there. Just like a 90s sleepover, we're just a couple BFFs hanging out, so gather round and let's launch right into it. What do you get when you combine, and we're going to combine a lot of things, okay?
Many things.
So many things. A Pisces, a psychiatrist, tortoiseshell glasses, TikTok rants, and the Oracle. Well, you get the super viral TikTok story by Kendra. I fell in love with my psychiatrist. I don't remember her actual last name. And I thought we had found like our next Risa Tisa, like Who the Fuck Did I Marry series.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was so many parts. There's like 20 something parts to this. It's the story kind of eked out over time. And man, was I just so wrong. Could not have been more wrong. This is a story about, well, it's not really about any, it's a story.
Yes, it is indeed a story.
I don't know what is happening in it, but, and all of this to say too, that providers in the mental health space, like preying on vulnerable patients is absolutely something to be taken seriously. We should know what to look for, things like that. But this isn't that.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. And while I do believe there is mental illness at play with Kendra, and that is also nothing to laugh at, there are just so many moments that you can't help but be like, girl, what are you saying? Where are you getting this? So we're going to do a deep dive into the over 23 part series as of today when we record, plus TikTok lives of Kendra, and we're going to learn about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist and the aftermath of it all.
Yeah, so I guess this is our first episode under our new name, This Feels Criminal.
Yay.
And instead of a traditional doc, we are going to bring you a TikTok doc, a very low budget doc, if you will. Okay?
Yeah.
And we want to start by zooming out a little bit, because while Kendra's interpretation of her experience may not be grounded in reality, according to everyone around her, the questions that she raises are worth unpacking, right? So like, how common is it for patients to develop romantic feelings towards their therapist? What is the ethical responsibility of the provider in that dynamic? And when does it cross a line into emotional abuse or grooming?
Yeah, and this is going to be a 2-part episode. We're bringing those back because there's so much to talk about. So this is part 1. Part 2 will drop next Tuesday. But if you're a patron, you are going to get that already. It's ready to go for you, locked and loaded. You can listen to it right after you finish this, early and ad-free. And then if you have self-control, I have none, but if you do, you want to wait until next week for that second part, that's totally fine too. But let's dive in, shall we?
Let's.
Okay, so Kendra starts the story and she calls it, I fell in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me as a patient or something like that. I forget.
Yeah.
Something like that. So Kendra has ADD, she says, and she's been off of medication, but she wants to get back on medication. So she needs somebody to manage her meds, basically. So she Googles psychiatrist in her area, books first appointment via Zoom, doesn't know anything about this provider, just like, okay, fine. The first appointment is 90 minutes, and then they do 30 minutes once a month after that. And she says she gets in the Zoom. The first thing she notices is this guy is super hot and he's her age. Can't help but notice that. If this were a man telling this story, we would get the
wildly
ick
inappropriate. We would have been mad about
Uh-huh.
this immediately.
Yeah, we would not be liking this. But she says he's hot. That's not my fault. I can't help that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she says in these appointments, he's doing her med management. So he will ask her questions like, like, how is your bladder, bowels, and appetite? And she's like, oh, yeah, they're fine, whatever. But she takes that as him being interested in her.
Yeah. So I will say, I also have technically a psychiatrist, right? For med management for my ADHD meds as well. So I can't say my undiagnosed ADHD anymore because it's diagnosed, it's official. It's kind of hurtful that I can't say that anymore. I might still say it anyway. But that is what the appointments are. Like my first appointment with him, like my intake, right? Mine had to be in person, which I mean, fine, seems very normal to me. I filled out a questionnaire. It talked about like your medical history and like family medical history, like the basic stuff. Like when you go see a new provider, all of the things that they want to know about you, that's what we talked about in my first meeting. And it was scheduled for an hour. I think it maybe took 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
And then I saw him once a month while we were like figuring out dosage and branding, like what brand of meds and like that kind of stuff. And it was just like a monthly check-in. And literally he would say, how's your appetite? What side effects are you having? Is this affecting your life? Are you thinking about self-harm? Like the very basic generic
standard questions.
Yeah. And the appointment was scheduled for 30 minutes and it always takes 15 minutes or less. Like that is it. Like everything I talk to him about is med management related. So, I mean, he'll ask me like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how are things going? Blah, blah, blah. But like, it's like small talk so that he's not just like, hey, how are your meds? From the jump. But it's very very routine, very clinical. He's not a therapist. Like that's not his job. That's not his role.
Right.
So
he's mainly there to find out, is this medication working for you? Do we need to make any changes to dosages?
Right.
Is it giving you any side effects?
Correct. Like it's very generic, I would say.
Yeah.
And I did not, when he was like, how are you doing? I was not like, oh my God, he's into me. Like what a wild leap to make.
Exactly. Like it's one of those things where like, if people go to restaurants and they're like, wow, she asked me what I wanted to drink. It's like, well, she's supposed to.
Yeah. Or like, it's like when people think the bartender is into you at the club, like, no, the bartender wants a tip.
Exactly.
And the bartender's job is to be nice to you.
Also, say a man approached me out. Mm-hmm. I don't go out.
Yeah.
But
hypothetically.
And he said, hey, how's your bladder, bowels, and appetite? I would not be like, this man is into me. I would be like, why are you asking me about those things? That's because that's real medical and clinical. Like it's appropriate in the situation that she's in. And nobody ever has hit on somebody in that way.
No, I don't think so.
I guess at least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, we never say never.
That's true.
I would imagine if that did happen, if that's your best line, it's time to take it back to the drawing board, friend. Like
exactly.
Ugh.
Like
I think we can do better.
Yeah, we gotta practice.
Yeah.
Then she says in her 6th session with him, which I kind of had a little bit of a come apart about that because as she starts telling this story, she's like, and in the next session, this, and in that session, that. I'm like, hey, hang on. You said that you saw your psychiatrist over 4 years. It took you 4 years to have the strength to leave him, you say.
Yeah, which again is a wild thing to say. Like, I broke up with my chiropractor and I mean, I was scared to do it and I did it over the phone, but like, it didn't take me 4 years because at the end of what's he going to do?
I mean, and obviously I'm still seeing our chiropractor. And so I'm going to take his side over yours at family functions.
I understand. Yeah. I just, please keep it respectful. we are colleagues. We are coworkers. So
Yeah.
I don't want that to ruin the work environment.
Exactly. I try to keep it professional, which is
Thank you.
really at the heart of our story today is professional boundaries. And I'm going to try and keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, 4 years is wild.
So she's like, it took me 4 years to have the strength to leave him. I'm like, you are making this sound like a domestic violence situation.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm expecting major claims to be coming out. But then she's like, so in our 6th session, he asks me a very different question. And I'm like, how do you remember that about your 6th session where you see him 30 minutes a month and you've done it for 4 years?
Yeah, that's no idea.
How do you remember which session? But anyway, she does. And she says it's the 6th one.
And he would ask me for the first 6 sessions, he asked me after the meds, he said, how's your bowels, bladder, and appetite? And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry to ask those questions. And then on our 6th session, when things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, like I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just friendly. And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine. But is there any thoughts of harm? Like I was special to him. And I said, no thoughts of harm. And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite, and he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm.
He asked me this like I was special to him. Like,
no, I think that's pretty standard with any sort of mental, I don't want to say mental health medication. I don't know if you would classify ADHD as a mental health medication. Like it's not like one that affects your moods, right? It's not like an antidepressant or anything like that. But I feel like that's pretty standard.
Yes.
Anytime you're taking any medication is like, how is this affecting your mental well-being?
Exactly. Like there are lots of different ways a medication can affect you. And given that she has also some other mental things going on.
Yes.
I could see how, but that's also a fairly standard question, I think.
Yeah, very basic.
So she takes that like he's super into her, that she's special to him, that these are questions that he's not asking other people. He's only asking these to her.
Yeah. She's treating it like confirmation bias almost. Like she wants it to be true.
Yes.
So like anything that she can spin in her favor, she will. And everyone around her, well, I don't know about everyone around her because she talks about her friends, which is also concerning.
Yeah.
But she's spinning these very neutral, mundane things to be more dramatic than they are. And like she's interpreting them in ways that are just very not conventional, maybe.
Right.
Someone who was not being affected by some sort of mental illness would likely not interpret things the way that she does.
Right.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. And after she says things like that, where it's like, he asked me if I'm having any thoughts of self-harm. And then she gets this look on her face and she's like, see, like,
yeah.
See what I mean?
Like she's so smug about it. Like, and there's your proof.
Exactly. And I'm like, but that's a standard question. And it kind of reminded me, that particular thing reminded me of the part in Friends when Rachel is pregnant and she gets into her 2nd trimester, which is the horniest trimester of all 3, because you are now not so sick anymore that you want to barf every time you look at anything, ideally. And
I was still sick the whole time, but okay.
I'm so sorry.
I love that for other people.
Yeah. And then you're like, now I never went through a super horny phase during pregnancy. I did not feel my best during that time.
No.
But Phoebe did apparently. And then so did Rachel. And so Rachel is like turned on by everything and like whatever. So she goes to the doctor and this is a different doctor than she normally sees. This is a male doctor and he's hot. And he's like, okay, let's talk about your symptoms. Are you having this or that? And then he's like, are you having a lot of gas? And she's like, oh my God, Dr. Chef, no. And she's just like, because she's almost treating it like a first date, you know, or whatever,
Yeah.
where like, she's like, well, he's hot. And like, but she's trying to like
Yeah.
be into him. And then he's asking her medical questions, which he's supposed to
Yes.
do. And it's like, it just reminded me of that.
This is exactly that.
Like, she needs an Evander Holyfield cut out from Phoebe because that's the only thing that helped Rachel.
Yes.
She also repeatedly says things like, he's really good at listening. I mean, he's a Pisces, right? Like,
Yeah. So this, first of all, shout out to the astrology girlies. But this tells me everything I need to know about her. Not everything. It tells me a lot about her. When you're like, well, he's a Pisces. So I'm like, oh, okay. Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, okay. So you're one of those. And then when she talks about, we'll get to it later, when she talks about being a human design coach, I was like, and now the puzzle pieces are falling
100%,
into place.
100%. And she like, okay, he's a good listener because he's a psychiatrist. Okay.
Mhm.
That's what he's supposed to do. I understand that he's more in the mode of med management, but he is still a mental health professional. So that's fairly standard. But she says that doesn't mean that he wasn't extracting from my feelings. Like, he's good at listening to my feelings, but it doesn't mean he wasn't extracting from them. Like,
yeah, it's also weird to me. Like, how does she know he's a Pisces? Like, you've obviously been looking him up, because I could not tell you the birth date of any physician, provider, anything that I've ever gone to.
Never, not once.
How do you know?
Unless you walked in one day and there were happy birthday balloons all over his office because his staff had done that or something. But like, typically, no. And she, in one of her videos, somebody asks her, how did you know he was a Pisces? And she's like, because I asked him.
Yeah, that's
okay. But I think she probably was like looking him up.
Oh, 100%. Again, to me, she probably wanted to confirm that she found the right person online to be stalking.
Yeah.
But she uses the astrology thing again to validate. Like, she is one of those people. And so, like, again, shout out to the astrology girlies. When I said, oh, you're one of those, that wasn't like a negative, but she's using it as, again, another tool to confirm or validate her thoughts on things.
She doesn't accept anything that disagrees with her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's a good listener. He's a Pisces. Of course, he's has nothing to do with the fact that he's a psychiatrist, and that's quite literally his job.
Right.
It's because he's a Pisces. And she probably, I can guarantee you, tried to match their star charts and was like, well, I'm actually super compatible with a Pisces. This is great news. Like, I just imagine that she was doing that kind of what I'm going to call shadow work behind the scenes.
Yeah. 100%. And then she would also, here's another thing about Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
She's pretty honest, it seems like.
She's honest, but she's not self-aware.
No, and
she thinks she is.
Yes.
But she is not.
No. And she's not, I still don't think she's a necessarily reliable narrator, but I say she's honest in the sense that there are points in which you'd think she'd just come out and say something happened, but she doesn't. So I give her props there because she's calling this man a predator, but she's not giving us any of the what made him a predator kind of stuff. And she even says, well, I would beg him to see me every single week and he wouldn't let me. He would tell me no. We had to meet once a month. I'm like, that's him holding an ethical boundary.
Exactly. And if you need to see someone for med management once a week, like, something's wrong.
Right.
Like, something's not working, and you probably need like medical assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Because all your psychiatrists for med management, all they're doing literally is like tweaking your dosage and checking in on your side effects. And like, you know, maybe if you start to have weird side effects or something, you call in and maybe you do see him the next week. But that should not be a regular occurrence. Like, what do we have to talk about?
Right. Exactly. And she's saying, I tried to escalate how often we saw each other, and he did not do that. He held firm in that. So that is him keeping a professional boundary, but she says,
Mhm.
you see, he made me want to see him more. He never crossed
Yeah.
that line. If he was anything, he was smart and he knew which boundaries not to cross. So he never did. He never crossed any of those boundaries ever because he was
Yeah.
too smart to do that. He wanted to,
Yeah.
but he was manipulating and manufacturing a situation where I would be the one to do it so that he wasn't the one to do it.
Yeah. Which is insane. Like you're saying out loud, he never
Mhm.
crossed any boundaries. You're saying it.
Mhm.
You acknowledge it. But you've also turned this into, but he's doing it to make me want him more. He knew that if he pushed me away, that it would just make my desire for him stronger. And like he's just fighting his own feelings, and that's what's happening. And you're like, girl, what?
Yes.
Like, it's one of those people where it's like, it makes me think of Nick from New Girl, where he's like, you got to stop being mean to me, or I swear to God, I'm going to fall in love with you.
I'm going to fall in love with you.
Which, I mean, is funny, right?
Yeah.
And like, I get it. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. But she believes that. Like, it's almost like the meaner you, not mean, because he's not being mean. He's being very professional.
Mhm.
But the more firm you are with her about establishing a boundary, the more she's like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're having to be firm, not for me, but for you.
Uh-huh.
This is you fighting your feelings for me. And it's like,
where
no,
are
girl.
you getting that? Where did you get that? It's insane.
You're like, are the feelings in the room with us?
Exactly. I mean, she thinks they are, I guess, but
she did.
She's like, I saw them. I seen it.
Uh-huh. And then she goes into this. Then we get another therapist. I don't say another therapist. I will say a therapist.
Correct.
Because her psychiatrist, not a therapist.
Right.
Okay. So she gets a new therapist who she sees for actual therapy. Right. And she blames her psychiatrist for not seeing her and begging to see him more as a red flag. And then also blames the therapist for not stopping her when she talked about how obsessed she was with the psychiatrist, right? So she's going to her therapist for therapy, and she is professing her love for her psychiatrist to her therapist. And she says it's her therapist's fault for not stopping her from talking about it, from feeling it. She says the therapist didn't try to help her work through that or anything, that she was just like very into it. And she was like very interested in everything she had to say and was like, tell me more. I want all the details. And the way she spins it is that this was like a gossip session for her therapist.
Yeah.
And that her therapist was like just her BFF, like downloading this information for her own personal entertainment, I guess. But she's missing the point that, girl, the therapist is there for you to talk to. And I don't believe for one second that therapist wasn't like, let's unpack that.
Exactly.
And that she interpreted, let's unpack that to mean, oh, this is juicy. Tell me more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
I want to know all the details because I'm
exactly.
She makes sure to say more than once, my 75-year-old female PhD therapist, like, oh, she's old and crusty and she wanted all the juicy details from my sex life. That's how it partially how it felt to me.
How she portrays it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and she ends up making some other like sideways comments that I know we'll talk about later on too, where like she brings up these very specific characteristics about people that have nothing to do with the story. And you're like, it's weird that you're latching onto this.
Right. Yeah.
So
there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So so with the therapist, she's 75 years old. She's a 75-year-old woman. So like obviously she has no joy in her life anymore. And she's feeding off of me.
Yeah, extracting from me. She uses the word supply a lot too, where she's like, they're getting their supply from me. I'm like, are you trying to go the like narcissistic supply route? What do you mean? What supply are you giving them?
It's weird to me that every single person that she's going to bring up in this, she will eventually categorize as an abuser.
Yes.
And
every single one.
And is it possible that every mental health professional in this story is an abuser? Yes, it's absolutely possible. Is it probable? I don't think so. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to not believe victims. But based on the information that she provides around the context of these stories, I just don't think that's the case.
Right. And some of that context.
But she's calling them out.
Yes. And some of that context being this person never, ever, ever crossed any physical or ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
But they're a sexual predator and a groomer and a.
Yeah.
Like what?
And one of the things is, well, she sent me an email after I told her I wanted to end our sessions.
Oh my gosh.
And that was her trying to lure me back in. Like,
come on, girl.
Like it doesn't add up.
No, it does not. And one of the questions we wanted to kind of unpack is, how common is it for you to fall in love with your psychiatrist? Because apparently it's not really uncommon, or a mental health professional at all.
Right.
And it turns out that not one of the first, I guess the very first like doctor-patient, talk therapy relationships ended in exactly that happening. So this was Bertha Pappenheim, who went by Anna O in like Freud's book about whatever it is that I think it was a book about a lot of things, not about just this situation, but he later wrote a book and included this kind of situation in it to talk about transference and countertransference and those things, which we will get into. But she had initially wanted to go see a doctor. She was diagnosed with hysteria because this was the late 1800s. So, of course, she was diagnosed with hysteria. But she was having some really, really, really serious symptoms, hallucinations, partial paralysis, speech aphasia, visual disturbances, all of this stuff. And so they were like, hysteria, of course. Fucking women are hysterical and her uterus is wandering around looking for semen. So it must be the problem. No, whatever. So she goes to visit this Dr. Joseph Brewer. I'm saying that because I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it. And
that's how I would say it.
He was a colleague of Freud. And so they began doing talk therapy. He would talk to her about things and they started kind of going through things. And she is the one who coined the term talking cure because she said that it helped her to talk about these things. And he kind of started psychoanalysis. And this is kind of where all of this was born. So during the treatment, though, she started to get more and more dependent on him emotionally. We now recognize this as transference, which is directing feelings. It does not have to be sexual or romantic in nature. Transference can be any type of feeling that you then project onto your therapist or whatever toward the doctor that are rooted in unmet emotional needs from earlier life experiences. And so it's a very common thing because a lot of people will, when they start doing talk therapy, this might be the first time in their entire life that they're ever listened to, they ever feel heard, seen, all of those things. Kendra says all of these things.
Yeah.
So it is not uncommon then to mistake that intimacy for an actual relationship versus a doctor-patient relationship. And the situation got so intense that Brewer ended up like ending treatment with her. And then he and his wife moved away. Like they just left and he stopped being a therapist after that. Like it was too much for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, or he wanted to. I think he did stop, but maybe he just wanted to. So it's not uncommon. It does happen.
Yes.
But it doesn't always immediately mean that you have to stop treatment like this guy did. He didn't really know what was going on. Hysteria was still a valid, medical diagnosis at the time.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not anymore, but it is something that is documented that mental health professionals do get training on, and we'll get a little bit
Mhm.
deeper into it in a little bit, but it's not uncommon. And she's really, really, really making the case for it coming from her side.
Yes. And it's really sad that it's so common, because if you think about it, your therapist is giving you the bare minimum. They're giving you someone who's actively listening.
Yep. Literally.
And not judging and helping you problem solve.
Mhm.
That is it.
Mhm.
They listen to, they are an objective third party, a neutral third party, and all they do, I'm not minimizing therapist work. Like I understand there's a lot more to it than this, right?
Oh,
but
yes,
on a base level,
yeah.
as the patient, what you're getting on a base level is a neutral party who listens to you and helps you work through your problems.
Yeah. Which, to your point, yeah, it is really sad that so many people are completely starved of that and don't have that in their lives. And that starts from, even the parent-child relationship where, like, you don't get that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's all kinds of societal norms that go around that and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's why it's so common. Yeah. And it is. It's sad because
it's sad that it's that common.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that means that many people are not getting that from anyone else in their life.
Yeah. It is really sad. Now we're to part 5. And y'all, again, there's like 20 something parts. So like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So she gets in a car accident. Okay. And this is where she quote unquote risks her life to see this man, because she said, look, I went to urgent care and they said, you've got to go to the emergency room right now. She said she had like bruises and possible internal bleeding and a perforated eardrum. And so they said, I am not comfortable just sending you home. You need to go to the emergency room. You may have internal bleeding. And she said, well, but that was at 11 in the morning. And my appointment with him is at 2:00. And I'd been looking forward to this appointment. I couldn't wait for this appointment. So I wasn't going to miss it, which she then blames on him. That she blames him for making her fall in love with him so much that she would risk her own life to go see him instead of going to the emergency room. And she said that when she got there, that she told him she might have internal bleeding. And he was like, oh, gosh. And she said that, like, he didn't stop her. He didn't say, we're stopping this appointment. You've got to go seek, emergency care immediately. And she called it intermittent reinforcement. So she said, some sessions he'd be really cold to me and he'd be very clinical. And then some sessions he would be warmer and he would tell me little details about his life and be vulnerable with me and open up to me. So of course that made me work harder to want to be with him. Of course that made me work harder. So she actually says, like, she doesn't see it this way, but she actually says that the reason that she went there that day was to go in there and be that, like, wounded animal that he would then feel the obligation to take care of. Like, she went there so that he would see her that way, hoping that he would be like, oh, well, maybe I should hug her, or maybe I should, blah, blah, blah.
Or even that he would see it as an act of devotion of, like, I wouldn't miss our appointments for anything. Like, you are so important to me. Like, she almost saw it as like a declaration of her love that there's no way he's going to miss it.
It's wild because that's what she gets out of it. And she even says in that video, she's like, oh, I got some warmth from him that day. Again, like, you see? Do you see what he did to me?
And it's like, he probably, the warmth that you're interpreting, you said he didn't stop the appointment, but I can guarantee you he was like, you think you have internal bleeding? Have you sought medical attention for that? And she was like, well, yeah, I went to urgent care. And so he probably was like, okay, thinking like, okay, so somebody's looked at this, she's okay, right?
Yeah.
I would, again, she doesn't say this because we don't get his perspective, but like, I imagine the warmth that she got was like a basic standard level of like, you think you have internal bleeding. Did you see a medical professional? And she was like, yeah, I did. And so he was like, okay, assuming that she did in fact seek medical attention and was fine.
Right.
But for her to say, well, he would feed me these little breadcrumbs and he knew that if he just like eked information out to me, that would make me want more. Like, no, I don't think that's how he saw that. Like, if someone was only giving me minimal information, it would not make me pry more. Also, this is a medical professional that I'm seeing. So, like, why are we talking about your family extensively, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we're just, having like a little chit-chat conversation, I'm not going to be like cold and I'm not going to tell you anything about my life. And I imagine he's not going to be cold and I'm not going to tell you anything about my life. But like, we have no reason to be discussing the intimate details of our lives.
No. And I think when she says he would give me some warmth here and there and be vulnerable with me or whatever, I think that probably was more like if they got on Zoom and he's like, hey, how are you doing? How was your weekend? And she says something and then she's like, how was your weekend? He's like, oh, it's good. I played some golf, or, oh, it was good.
Exactly.
I went on a trip. I think there was maybe just a level of like very minimal small talk that she was interpreting as, oh, he's opening up to me. Like,
yes.
I don't know, girl.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
It really is another bizarre thing. So if you watch any of these, almost any of them, you are going to see her wearing these big tortoiseshell glasses. Okay.
Yes.
And she says, he would give me these breadcrumbs, doing this on purpose. He would manipulate me like he would comment on my appearance, but he wouldn't compliment it. So we'd get on Zoom and he'd say, oh, you're wearing glasses because normally I wear contacts, or, oh, you curled your hair today. He didn't say it looked good. He just said, oh, XYZ. And then she said, when he said something about my glasses that one day, of course, I got up and I ran to the other room and grabbed my other pair of glasses and said, I have these glasses too. And he was like, do you like these? And he's like, oh, I prefer the turtle shell glasses, actually, which is what she's wearing in the video. And then she says, so I normally wear contacts, but that's why I'm wearing these, because just in case he watches this, he'll see me wearing his favorite glasses. And then she blames him and says, and it would just be inappropriate stuff like that he would say to me.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, not inappropriate to notice that someone's wearing glasses today when they don't normally, or that their hair is different. Like, nothing inappropriate about that. Also, the fact that you have now gone out of your way to modify your appearance, although this is just you wearing glasses, so not like, you didn't have plastic surgery to like change your body or anything. But like the fact that you intentionally altered your appearance on the chance that he might see it and realize that you're wearing his favorite glasses is
right.
Crazy.
And it's not that she had an appointment with him that day, so she wore which is still kind of bizarre, but
weird.
Not like she had an appointment with him and knew he was going to see her. This is, she says, 5 months after she has stopped seeing him. Because remember, 5 months before this, she had the strength to leave him. And so now she's still wearing these glasses just in case he maybe might see it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's super crazy. Then she introduces us to one of my favorite terms I think I've ever heard, which is weaponized neutrality.
Never heard of her.
No.
I mean, you can weaponize anything though, I guess. So
I guess. Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. She makes a big deal that when she would say things about liking him or being into him, or she would say things like, my best friend is an ER doctor and she has picked up on the fact that obviously you want to be with me and that we're going to have to stop, seeing each other in a professional thing because, you're going to want to be with me. And obviously I want to be with you. And she's like, and he wouldn't say anything. He didn't stop the appointment. He didn't say that he liked it. Okay. But he didn't say that he didn't like it. And that was his favorite tool to use, weaponized neutrality. He wouldn't agree, but he also wouldn't disagree.
I know. And I was like, okay, what did you want him to say? Because if he stopped the appointment, one of two things would have happened. He would have either stopped the appointment and been like, oh my God, you're right. I can't see you as my patient. We have to end this now so that we can be together forever. Or he's going to stop the appointment and say, we cannot continue this professional relationship anymore. I'm not interested in you. I'm not interested in seeing you as a patient. This is inappropriate and I'm not okay with it. Like, really, those are the only two ways stopping the appointment is going to go, right? If he had said, I don't want to be with you, this is inappropriate, we have to stop this relationship, there are implications of just dropping a patient.
Yes.
So she would have, he was in a catch-22 situation and he handled it professionally. He didn't feed into it in a negative or a positive way.
Right.
I mean,
and actually I have some information about that further down, but I think it fits here too. Like, so I started looking into like, what are they supposed to do? Are they, if you start giving them signs that you're into them, are they supposed to just stop treatment? Are they supposed to just be like, whoa, you said you're into me, so I've got to cut you off, you know, like whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not the situation. So according to the American Counseling Association, first of all, the things that you should look out for. Okay. If a provider is trying to cross boundaries and trying to manipulate you or take advantage of you or whatever, the things that you're going to be looking for are unwanted physical contact. Are they touching you? Are they kissing you? Are they hugging you? Are they getting too close to you? Stuff like that. Are they inappropriately sharing personal information? Are they telling you about all the times they're jacking off? That's not appropriate. Are they attempting to meet you outside of sessions? Oh, hey, let's meet for coffee or dinner. Oh, hey, let's do this or that. Are they trying to excessively communicate with you outside of sessions? Emailing, texting, calling, all of those things. Are they confiding in you about personal things, something that they should be talking to a therapist about, and you're not their therapist, you're their client, so that would be inappropriate. Are they scheduling sessions at unusual times? Our office closes at 5, but come in at 9 p.m. Nobody will be here. That's a red flag.
Yep.
Are they suggesting physical contact during sessions? Like, I really think it would help you if I snuggled you on the couch. Do you want to be big spoon or little spoon? That's not appropriate. Like, these are the things to look out for, none of which she mentions, by the way.
Right.
But they do also say that it is a common scenario when clients develop either sexualized or erotic transference, because again, counseling is an intimate session. Intimacy is sharing deep feelings and all that is an intimate situation, but it can be detrimental to the client's mental health and to their treatment if they say to you, I am into you, I'm attracted to you, I think I have feelings for you or whatever. And you're just like, whoa. Okay, we're done here. Yeah. Especially for a patient who already has abandonment trauma.
Exactly.
They are going to feel abandoned. You can actually make their mental situation much worse. One of the ways to approach that very situation that they get training on is neutrality. Because you're not like you said, you're not judging it. You're not saying it's good or it's bad. You're just saying, okay, it is. And let's talk about why. Let's talk about other relationships that you could, like whatever. It is so very nuanced. And so there are many different ways to work it out. But because it is a fairly common thing, what it seems like to me is if these practitioners were just like, oh, well, they said they had a feeling that is not just professional for me, so I completely cut them off.
Yeah.
Then you'd be losing.
Nobody would have a therapist.
Yeah. Like it would just be, she tries to play this neutrality thing as if it is
bad.
Yeah.
She tries to treat it as if he's doing something he shouldn't be.
Yeah. That makes him unethical because he didn't tell her no, but he didn't tell her yes.
Yeah. And let's also keep in mind that he is her psychiatrist. That she sees for med management.
For 30 minutes a month.
For 30 minutes once a month, which is excessive unless she's got some stuff going on with her meds. But it is not his job to do therapy with her. Like that is not the function of his job. That is not the role he plays. And so for her to say things like that to him and him kind of be neutral about it, which is one of the things they're taught to do, he already knows she's seeing an actual therapist.
Right.
For him to assume that that is something that a different mental health professional is working through with her, I think is very reasonable because he's not here for a therapy session.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like, I know that you see this therapist once a week. I'm going to assume that you guys are working through that together. I am here for your medication management. I'm going to try to stay on topic. Because again, if he's not saying one way or the other, like, you shouldn't be saying that, or that makes me really uncomfortable, probably what he is doing is redirecting and saying, let's get back to your medication.
Yes.
You know, like, it's very
or
frustrating.
saying maybe that's something you should talk about your therapist with, and then moving on. Because how you develop these intimate feelings for your med management psychiatrist is beyond me. Because what are you talking about to have led you to this conclusion?
Right.
We're not unpacking our life here.
No.
Like, it's one of those, like, love at first sight kind of fixations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That she's developed. Because even from her own words, he has not given her any indication that he's into this, or that he has the same feelings, or that he has any intentions of trying to push a boundary at all. If anything, he's very firm about the boundaries that he has.
Correct.
And she's like, he's in love with me. I know it. At one point, she says something like, he would do little things like he would cross his legs when he was sitting at his desk, and that was his way of telling me he loved me. Or he would do, like, he would blink twice or something, and that was how he was communicating to me that he thought I looked really beautiful today or something like that. But he was communicating with me in these subtle ways because he knew it would be inappropriate to say it out loud.
He was too smart
and
to
I was
do
like,
that.
he was too smart and too calculated. And I was like, what?
Girl, I know.
What?
It also feels very immature. Like, this is like a 14-year-old girl, you know, kind of thing. Like, because like you said, she immediately became infatuated with him. And when you're 14, I don't know, maybe just I was this way. But like, everywhere I went, every situation, every boy band I liked, it was like, you have to find the one you're going to marry. Okay.
Yeah.
Out of everybody, there's one you're going to marry.
You weirdo.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody else did that.
Never. I was not going to marry Taylor Hanson for sure. So.
Exactly. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Never thought of that one time. I don't know.
Why so weird. Why would you even ask me that?
So strange.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Like, you had to have the one, you know? So like, if you met I remember like going to visit my friend Michelle when she lived in New Hampshire, and we were in high school. I went up to visit her over Christmas one year, and it was like, you know, this is just how girls are. Like, we had to find a guy that I would like, you know, maybe I could like him or whatever. I was only there for like 5 days. Never saw him again, you know?
You need a love interest.
It was
you know?
Carl, by the way. His name's Carl.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice guy. Anyway.
Shout out to Carl.
Hey, Carl.
If you're out there.
Hope you're doing well. So, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, she assumes that there has to be some sort of a romantic connection with every boy.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I love every boy. Like, it's like that. But like, she's like, what, 38 years old or something?
Yeah. Or she's even assuming that every boy loves her.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not that she loves every boy. It's that every boy loves her. So every boy is sending her messages or like subtle communications.
It's like, and not everywhere you go, you're going to find a boyfriend.
Well, maybe that's you, Trilla.
Well, I guess that's true. I don't. So
yeah,
that's sad for me.
But so beyond just these weird interactions that she would have with him in their meetings, she was also sending him messages and emails. And she would, again, let's go back to 14-year-old girl. She's using heart emojis. She's telling him how much she loves him and appreciates him. And he just straight up doesn't respond to her. Which again,
does not respond to anything.
He doesn't respond to any of it. Which again, she interprets as, well, he can't write his feelings down because that would get him in trouble. But I know that he's sending me vibes through the universe that I can feel.
Exactly.
And so what does she do? Naturally, she starts talking about her sex life. And then she's like, and he didn't stop me because he was feeding off of that. he was fulfilling his own fantasies and needs. Like he was just banking this information for whatever he would use it for later. And I was like, ew.
Yucky, yucky, yuck.
Ew. Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, and he loved it. And he never stopped me. And he wanted to hear everything about how I was tracking my cycle and the kinds of weird sex we were having. Like, I don't think he loved it.
Does anybody find it attractive, any man, if a woman is like, yeah, so the way that I prevent pregnancy is by tracking my cycle and using the fertility awareness method. And like, once you start talking about like your period, I think most of them are out, I think.
I would think so too.
I don't think they're like,
I'm
ooh,
not,
that's sexy.
Yeah. But it wasn't just her psychiatrist that she's talking about these things. She also talks about this with her 75-year-old crusty dusty therapist who also loves hearing about it because it also probably fulfills, you know, she's living vicariously through her, right?
Definitely.
So she
100%.
loved it, even though neither one of them ever said that to her.
No, they don't give her any indication that they love hearing it. I think what they're doing is they are listening because that is their job. But she interprets, again, that as I know what they are thinking. I know what they are feeling. And they want me to keep talking about this. Yeah. And I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's...
I don't think she's understanding how therapists work. Because what they're doing is they're listening to you and they're diagnosing you. They are looking for the subtle communication that you think they're giving you. You're giving it all to them, even not so subtly in her case. But like they are, every time you're talking to them, every time you're telling them things about you and about your life, they are getting a more full picture of you, of the mental and emotional state you're in, how your brain is processing, how your emotions are processing. Like all of this is good information for them to develop a treatment plan for you. So yes, they're not stopping you from talking about it because they're like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. But she's not.
Exactly.
It's not clocking to her that that's what they're doing.
Exactly. Like, they then will take the information, they have to get to know you, and then they will kind of take that information. Then they can kind of start rerouting you maybe, or helping you like unpack what, like, where is this coming from? Or let's talk about your family of origin and maybe why you might be developed. Like, that is all at play here. But she thinks that because they let her talk about something, that means that they love it. They're extracting from it and they're using her in some way to gain themselves.
Yeah. She sees herself
and she has no participation in it whatsoever.
Exactly. She sees herself as like very valuable and that people are always trying to like take her energy and take from her. And it's
use her.
Yeah. You're using her in some way, whether it's to feed your own supposed fantasies or to feed your emotional needs, or like it's she approaches everyone as if they are leeching something from her, and it's very strange.
Yes, and it's very like it is the song "You're So Vain."
Yes,
you know. You probably think the song is about you. Like every room she walks into, somebody is thinking about her. Somebody has a thought about her, whether it be good, bad, whatever. Yeah. Somebody is using her for something. They are trying to get something from her. They want her for this, that, or whatever. Yeah. Whether it be good or bad, it doesn't matter to her. But it is all about her.
Yeah. Well,
in everybody's life.
Well, and then she starts talking about she gets a boyfriend. So,
wow.
I know. She gets a boyfriend. And at some point in their relationship, she starts telling her psychiatrist that the boyfriend is no longer meeting her needs, right? And she says that she's getting her validation from her psychiatrist and her emotional needs are met through him. And he actually encourages her to stay with the boyfriend that wasn't meeting her needs. And she interpreted this as if she stays with him.
My God, the mental gymnastics.
The mental Olympic level Olympic
Yes.
level gymnastics here that we're doing.
Yeah.
She believes that the psychiatrist wants her to stay with the boyfriend because he can't meet her physical needs. So she can still get that elsewhere, but she can still come to the psychiatrist to have her emotional needs met. So this is a way, you know, for us to still continue this relationship because, I can't give you the physical part of it, but just keep coming to me. Keep coming to me for everything else. Just stay with him. Just get what you can from him and I'll give you the rest. Like that was her interpretation of that conversation.
Yes, because she's like, he's telling me to stay with somebody who can't meet my emotional needs. And she says the therapist was telling her the same thing too, that they were both telling her to stay with him. And it's fine to be with somebody who doesn't meet your emotional needs. And she's like, well, that's weird, but okay. And then she's like, but of course, because if I broke up with him and found somebody who could meet my emotional needs, then I wouldn't need him anymore.
Yeah.
And he needed me to need him.
And she says the same thing about the therapist too. They wanted me to stay in these bad situations so I could keep giving them the content that they needed.
The content they wanted.
And speaking of content.
Good God.
Oh, get ready to vom.
So at my next appointment with my psychiatrist, I told him, I said, today we're going to talk about my intimate life. And he said, oh, I said, yes. My psychologist, my therapist, asked what your opinion on it was. And I told her that I don't talk to you about this intimate stuff because I have a crush on you. And he looked down and smiled so big in that moment. He smiled so big. And I loved it. It's so gross thinking about it. And then I proceeded to give him 30 minutes of non-stop content about my intimate life with my boyfriend. And I actually recorded the whole thing because I was so excited about it. But now it makes me sick. I can't even listen to the recording. I've tried to start, but it's gross.
And then she said he looked down and he smiles so big.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, let's don't rule out nervous laughter. You know what I'm saying?
Or
like,
let's not rule out the fact that he's like, oh my God, this is confirmation that she's insane.
Like, yeah, he's like, I knew this day was coming.
Yeah.
Like, that does not mean he liked it.
No.
Like he smelled so big in that moment. And she says that, you know, she gave him this nonstop intimate content, but she says she also recorded it.
Yes.
And she knew that she was going to talk about this with him that day. And so she recorded it on purpose so that she could go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Are you hearing yourself? Now, if he had recorded that so he could go back and listen to it, that would be fucking weird.
Yeah.
But she's doing it and she's saying that's fine because of course I would. Now, when I go see my therapist, I record my sessions. They're my sessions. I record them. But that way I can refer back to them because sometimes she'll give me these like genius nuggets and I'm like, oh man, I forgot what that was.
Yeah.
And so I'll go back and listen or whatever. Most of the time I don't listen to them, but they're there if I need them, right? That's not immediately concerning, but I record every single one of them. The way that she talks about it is she recorded this one because she was so excited about it.
Yes.
To talk to him about what sounds like sexually explicit stuff is what she says.
Yeah.
And she's tried to go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
But she can't even listen to it anymore because now she's just disgusted that he manipulated her into doing this in the first place.
Yeah. And the whole thing threw me because how did he manipulate you into doing this? Number one. Number two, is this not sexual harassment on her part?
Exactly. Like, recording it so she could go back and listen to it and pushing that and she calls it the Christmas morning session or appointment because she says this was his Christmas morning, his 2.5 years of never once crossing a boundary, but manipulating her into doing so at every single turn had finally paid off because he'd groomed her for this very moment so that he could get this content from her to use however it is that he was going to use. But this, he finally got her to do it. Yeah. This was what it was all leading up to.
I just am very concerned for a multitude of reasons. And she uses the excuse that, well, he didn't stop me. He didn't say no. And it's like, it's parallel in my mind to a guy who is accused of sexually assaulting a girl. Typically, that's the scenario, right? But when they're like, well, she could have said no at any time and she didn't. She should have tried to stop me, but she didn't. She could have stopped me, but she didn't. She didn't even try to. So how was I supposed to know that she wasn't into it? Like, it's different because it's not physical. I get that.
Yes.
But you're doing the same thing.
You're doing the same thing. And a resound, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So don't take his weaponized neutrality as yes, continue.
Exactly.
That is him trying to maintain a professional boundary without cutting you off and making your care worse. And she uses the term, she says, you know, we'll get to it, but when they finally have an in-person appointment, this is when I was really spiraling. Like I was totally spiraling. Like she will say stuff like that. So of course he probably couldn't just be like,
well, he can tell that you're spiraling, girl. He can tell.
Exactly.
And he knows if he cuts you off, that it's going to be worse for you and for him, probably.
Yeah.
And so it's inappropriate. But inappropriate, inappropriate. You know what I'm saying?
It's inappropriate too. Yeah. It's crossing, it's past inappropriate at this point.
Yeah. And at this point, is it at this point that she's said his name?
She says it. I can't remember exactly when she says it, but she uses his first name, which we're not going to do.
No.
But she uses his first name. And then people, I guess, start commenting like, why would you do that? You've doxed him, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she has I think it's 2 videos where she goes on this huge rant where she's like, and check yourself. You are predator protectors. And like, she goes off.
And it's very bizarre because she's like, oh, by the time I realized that I'd used his name, because up through a certain number of videos, she never says his name. And then all of a sudden she just does, very casually in passing. And then people are like, oh my God, you said his name. Now we can find him. And people start doxing this man. They look him up, they find him, and they are doxing him online. And she is like, well, by the time I realized I had said his name, I was already like 3 videos past that. So like there was nothing I could do. And I was like, you couldn't take the video down?
You could have
taken it down, girl. You are allowed to do that, actually. It's not even difficult.
Yeah.
So, okay. But you left it up, and it's still up because I started from part 1 yesterday, and I went through all of the videos, and I heard it. It's still there. So.
And she said it more in like some of the lives and stuff like that. Like she has said it more.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, oops, I didn't mean to say his name.
Yeah. Well, then take the video or don't post
again.
it. You're not doing this. Like those videos, she's not doing them live. It's pre-recorded.
No.
So just re-record it. Add the little beep over his.
Or you could edit it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Edit it out. Like there are so many options. And if you call her on it, then she calls you a predator protector. And it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then we finally get to part 8.
Anybody who is like, oh, sorry. I was just going to say, anybody who's reaching out to him, like real life, reaching out like to his practice or whatever, don't do that. It's not cool.
Yeah,
don't do it. Like, you can comment on the videos if you want. You can say what you think about it. Don't go real world with any of them.
No.
Don't find out where she is. Don't call the yoga studio. You know, all of these things. Leave everybody alone. It's, whatever.
Yes.
All right.
So we get to part 8, and she has broken up with previous boyfriend, and now she's going to go on another. She meets someone else, right? And this man is a therapist, and they go on a date, which is very strange. But this therapist is obsessed with his clients and admits to her that he has a fascination with at least one client, maybe more, I don't know, but that he uses their panties and jacks off before meetings so that he can make it through. Which, first of all, how did you get their underwear? I got a question about that.
I think he said he knows that this particular person like wears these lacy red panties.
So maybe he bought similar ones.
Still
weird
really
though.
Weird.
But like, what are the odds that she meets someone who is basically doing the same thing that she's doing to her psychiatrist, right? And that, again, confirms to her that this is very normal and that therapists do have these feelings towards their client. And it's not inappropriate because nothing's happening to him. Like, she doesn't see this as a red flag, right?
No. And she says too, mind you, I didn't know that my therapist or my psychiatrist had similar feelings towards me at this time. So I just thought he, was just telling me this random stuff or whatever. And then she says at one point, she's like, yeah, I met him and he was a therapist. And I thought that dating a therapist would, mean that they could meet my emotional needs. She throws her head back and does this maniacal laugh. She's like, and it's was
crazy.
like, oh my God. Brooke Shields did that exact thing in Friends when she played Erica, who was obsessed with Drake Ramore and thought Joey was really Drake. And they're at dinner one night and she does something to his hand and she's like, and like throws her head back. And I was like, Kendra, you're doing this in real life. Like, I'm so concerned. But she says that he tells her that this woman is so attractive that he goes to visit her at work. He tries to see her all the time. And he has to, and she says, smash Mermaid before his visits with her to relieve the tension. Are you not allowed to say masturbate on TikTok? Is it one of the words that you can't say? I don't know why she felt the need to say smash Mermaid.
Yeah, I don't know. But the fact that she continued on this date with him, also concerning. What?
Yeah.
He's talking to you about women he finds attractive and like jacking off.
Doing real
like, what are you doing?
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And she says that then she tells her psychiatrist this. She's like, oh yeah, I went on a date with this guy and he tells me all this stuff and she lays it out. And she says, this man looked like, 1, he'd seen a ghost. 2, like he was going to vomit. And do you want to know why? Because this man prided himself on being so professional. But here I was, a mirror holding up to him exactly what he was doing to me. And he didn't think I would figure it out, basically. And I'm like, hang on a second.
Yes.
You just listed a bunch of behavior that he's not doing.
Yeah.
That he's not doing. That you are saying that this man told you he's doing, and you're like, wow, that's really inappropriate. And the guy that you're talking about, you have actually said multiple times he's never crossed a professional boundary, not once ever. But now you describing all of these things is you holding up a mirror to him, showing him what he's doing that he thought you weren't going to figure out he was doing to you.
Yeah. And if he looks like he wants to vomit, it's probably because he's thinking about this therapist and how absolutely unethical that behavior is and how you're just also out here telling people about it. But also I have to wonder, is that even what this other therapist actually said to her?
I don't know that she even met a guy and went on a date with him and he was a therapist. I don't know. I think she's such an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of projecting, a lot of projecting. And so, and I have found that with certain types of, mental illness that you will hear somebody tell a story of something that happened to them. And then later you will find out that was actually a story of something they were doing to another person, but they were taking it on as if it was happening to them. I mean, projection, but like, that's what this feels like to me because the fucking odds.
Yeah.
That in the middle of all this, she meets a man who's a therapist who's obsessed with his client, which is what she's hoping is the situation with her psychiatrist. And he is actually doing the things that she wishes her psychiatrist would do with her.
Yeah.
You've got to have a better chance of being hit by a meteor and sliding down a rainbow into a pot of gold.
It's insane.
I just don't know. Then we find out that she's an ADHD coach.
Yep.
And I felt so scared for all of us. And
girl, me too.
she uses human design.
Listen, I have a lot of feelings about human design because I learned about it exclusively earlier this week from Love is Blind UK. Shout out to all the Love is Blind UK participants.
Hey, Patrick.
He's a human design coach. And I was like, what the hell is that? And all I've gathered really is that you're a life coach and you have to trust your spleen, which is wild because it's not even a vital organ. I can listen, I have a lot of feelings about it. We can talk about it later, but still, I was like, okay. Again, the pieces, they are falling into place.
Exactly. And she like coaches people on sobriety, which I don't think she says that at the point that she met her therapist or psychiatrist that she was 6 months sober.
Yeah.
But there are some lives that she does where she is either under the influence of drugs, alcohol, both, or she is in such a like mental episode that she appears to be under the influence of something. But she does talk about going to get drinks with her friends and stuff. I'm like, I thought you said you were sober and you're kind of a sobriety coach and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, people think that I am having a mental episode or I'm crashing out or I'm doing this or whatever. But like, I work in this space. So like, I know what that's like. I'm totally fine. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing.
Let us also remember that in order to be a life coach, there are no ethical standards or training. Like you don't have to be licensed. You don't have to have any ethical standards that you abide by. Like there's nothing because all a life coach is, and again, if you're a life coach, like there are good ones out there. I'm not disparaging that, but it's literally, you're just giving people advice based on your experiences. And that can be very, very valuable. But that person giving the advice needs to be not mentally unwell or have some experiences.
Well, and she also does say that, and she also does say that she uses modalities like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which you do need a license to do.
Exactly.
So she does say, I mean, she's really opening herself up to a lot of legal and ethical issues. And like, we'll talk about that in part 2, but she's doing a lot of things. You know, that's why this feels so criminal.
Yeah.
Because she's doing so many things and laying out so many things that you could make a case for a lot of stuff in court with. Yeah. And she's just like throwing it out there.
Yes.
All right. We have one more part to get to before we get to our whole second episode on this. And this is they finally have an in-person visit.
Yeah.
So she calls to make an appointment one day and she talks to the front desk and she's like, I don't have my appointment with my psychiatrist, my next one, can I get an appointment? And the girl says, and she also makes sure to say, me and the office manager, you know, we vibed, we really got along. Yeah. Like we were like, cool. I'm like, do you take everybody just doing their job as like, you guys are vibing?
Yes,
like,
I think
I don't know. But she says that the office manager was like, oh, do you see him in person or on Zoom? And she goes, in person. What do you mean? I didn't know he did in-person visits. And she's like, yeah, he does in-person visits. And she's like, oh my God, of course I want to see him in person. Schedule me in person. Like she's starting to freak out. So she talks to her therapist about this. And the therapist, she says, that, and this is another area where I think she's being very, very unreliable. And I don't think this happened. Is she says her therapist is like, because she's like, why would he lie to me about that? Why would he not tell me that he saw people in person? And she's like, well, obviously that's him restraining himself because otherwise he would have just told you. If he thought he could be in the same room with you and not rip your clothes off, he would have done that. Clearly he can't. So he just told you about Zoom because he doesn't think he can keep his hands off of you. There'll be so much sexual tension, it'll be through the roof.
Yeah. I'm imagining that what her therapist said to her was that he probably feels that the benefits are outweighed by the possible negatives of seeing you in person, i.e., it's going to take you 45 minutes to get to his office for a 10-minute appointment.
Right.
So why?
Mm-hmm. And you are so obsessed with him that is clearly not going to help your situation. Exactly. So it is better for you to stay on Zoom.
Yeah.
But she took that as he's so into me, he can't trust himself to be in person with me. So she says she gets there and she's like, and of course, I was so excited. I did my makeup. I did my hair. I wore a really cute outfit. I made sure to wear exactly what I thought he would like to see me in and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that she gives him the hugest hug. She's like, I just gave him the biggest hug because I was so excited to see him. And she was like, and it was the most awkward thing ever. Like he barely patted my back. And I was like, oh my God, that was so awkward. Which then she takes to mean that this was just another step in him grooming her, and he's totally a predator.
Because he was trying, he had to keep up appearances. We got to keep it profesh. Otherwise, people will know that something's going on between us.
Exactly. And she's like, and I never touched him again. And
he was probably like, thank God.
Exactly. But she took that as, we just couldn't touch each other there. Like he wanted to, but we just couldn't. And then she does say at some point, I don't remember which part because she sprinkles stuff in, but she says that like he knew that she was a coach and she had an online presence. And so sometimes she would tell him like, oh, I did this video and it kind of went viral or it had a lot of views or whatever. And she would want to show him the video. So she's like, I would walk up to his desk to show him. Yeah. And she said, I wanted to see how I could push the boundaries. And she said, because that's the game we played.
Yeah.
And I'm like, again, you are putting the boundary pushing on yourself. You're admitting that you continue to push boundaries that he has said, whether out loud or not, but made clear to you, I don't want to touch you. I'm sitting at my desk. You're sitting way the fuck over there. But that's the game they played. He was doing that on purpose.
I have to say, if he is indeed doing these things and manipulating her this way, he is a master manipulator. I mean, if only I could have an ounce of that ability.
I know, right?
Jeez. My life would be so much easier.
I'd be running the world.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. But that's where we leave off for part 1.
Yes. But this story is far from over, guys. So come back because in part 2, we're going to talk about what happens after her psychiatrist sets this boundary when Kendra then turns not to her therapist, not to her friend, but to an AI chatbot named Henry.
Yeah. And in part 2, we are going to find out why she started calling herself the Oracle and why this is kind of starting to veer into the category of like maybe some cult vibes too.
Yep. So the AI is going to start affirming everything she believes, and her audience is about to grow and fast.
And we'll talk about what happens when people reject real world support in favor of echo chambers, yes men, if you will, how algorithmic content can reinforce delusion, and why it is so dangerous when conspiracy meets code. Because it just goes off the rails.
Yes. So that is it. And we will see you next Tuesday. Unless you're a patron and you want to jump over now, in which case we'll see you in a few minutes.
That's right. You can have it now.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye. If you like this episode, be sure to like this episode and follow the show so that you never miss out on new episodes. Get in on the conversation on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Killer Queens Pod, or you can join our Facebook discussion group at Killer Queens Podcast, where we discuss cases covered on the show and all things 90s. If you want to submit a case to be covered on the show, visit killerqueenspodcast.com/case submission and just complete the form. And if we cover the case, we'll give you a shout out on the show. Lilas.